and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3686 AN. Today's date is July 14th, 2025, and the title of the episode is Countries Are Now Caving to Trump. The central bank globalist system is over. Let me ask you a question. Are you looking to shed some pounds for this summer? Well, a recent study found nearly half of patients following popular weight loss trends quit within a year, often used lower than prescribed doses and ultimately lost less weight than they were led to believe. This is why I use this secret amazing new product, and I'm obsessed with the results. It is designed to naturally support my body's own GLP-1 production and boost levels by over 50% without drugs, prescriptions, or needles. It promotes the feeling of fullness, reduced cravings, reduced my hunger hormones, helps me lose fat instead of muscle, and supports healthy blood sugar levels. Summer is here. It's time to get that beach body ready. Grab yourself a bottle of GLP-1 now to save up to 44% only at trimwithx22.com. Plus, you also get 2 free ebooks titled The 3-Week Diet and 53 Fat-Burning Smoothies and Milkshakes. Once again, this offer is only available at trimwithx22.com. That is trimwithx22.com, or just click the link in the description. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, they are starting to realize that anything that they tried to do to stop Trump, it's not going to work. It seems that the central bank, the globalist system, is coming to an end, and they're starting to see the writing on the wall, and they're starting to realize there's nothing that they can do to counter him. Now, in the beginning, I do believe what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to counter him any way they possibly can. Maybe by placing tariffs on the U.S., by countering Trump's tariffs. But again, they're realizing this doesn't work because they don't have the leverage. They tried the digital tax on technology. Canada already caved, started to realize, well, if we do this, he's just going to increase tariffs. What all these countries are starting to realize is that they don't have any type of leverage whatsoever, which means once they exhaust all of this, and once Trump negotiates or they try to hold off as long as possible, I do believe what they're going to do is they're going to try to push some type of an event, and they're going to try to destroy the economic system, probably via a cyber attack, because that is the only option the central bank system has left. And I do believe that's something that they might try if they have the ability to do it, because remember, every day that passes, and as Trump placed tariffs on all these different countries, the volume of currency that's coming to these countries, into the deep state coffers, basically it's drying up, and it's going to become very, very difficult for them to function in the end. And I do believe if they can get it off the ground, they will try one last Hail Mary, and they'll try to destroy the system the way we know it today. Now, I do believe Trump and the Patriots are going to be using this to their advantage, because remember, they're destroying their own system, the system that they created. I do believe at that point in time, Trump will have the ability to move us away from their system into the new system that he is creating. And this is why he is now putting all the pieces together, implementing his policies, because in the end, once all this is set and done, and billions are being brought, or even trillions are being brought into this country, he is now a competing system that can go up against the central bank system. He now has the power to control what the economy does. And with that power, we are no longer dependent on the central bank system. And with this power, he can start weaning us off of the central bank system, and having the wealth that the central bank has been taking from us, he can actually shut it all down. And that's what this is all about. And this is what the deep state players are trying to stop. But they're starting to realize that they don't have the power. If you look at the European Commission, the president, Ursula von der Leyen, she's now holding off on countering Trump's 30% tariffs, because she knows exactly what's going to happen. If she counters with 30%, Trump is going to give them another 30%. So where's this going? Absolutely no place. And she's holding off now until August. They're trying to figure out another way to go around this. Of course, they want to negotiate. And of course, what Trump wants and what they want are completely two different things. Because remember, if they start to retaliate with tariffs, the European Union already let us all know that their entire economic system will completely and utterly fall apart. And the problem with the European Union is that all the countries have to agree. And this is not going to work out for them whatsoever. They're just trying to figure out a way to get around all this, to stop Trump, but it's not going to work. And what's very interesting is that the European Commission, they finally dropped the plans to impose a tax on digital companies. Remember, Canada tried this because they were working with the EU, and they let Canada go first. Okay, you tell Trump, you tell the U.S. what we're going to do. We're going to be placing taxes on digital companies. And as soon as they did that, Trump goes, okay, we're going to place tariff on you. And then what did Canada do? They backed off. Now the EU is backing off because they do not have the upper hand. Trump has the upper hand in this economy. And if people look around and you look at the economy, you can see the economy is improving every single day. And what he's really doing, he's taking us out of this recession that Biden has caused, and he's bringing us into a new economic system. Fuel prices are coming down, which means inflation is going to be coming down all over the place. And Trump now is making moves to remove the Federal Reserve chair. This is why he's using Bill Pulte. This is why he's continually putting pressure on him, because every day that passes, what do people see? They see who's responsible for the economy not taking off. And I do believe in the end, either the Fed is going to resign from all the pressure, or Trump is just going to replace him because of the investigation that's going on with the renovation of the Federal Reserve. And of course, the Fed is now calling for an investigation when there's already an investigation happening, which is very, very interesting. Let's talk about protecting our wealth. You probably think your 401k is safe, that it's growing, that'll be enough for your retirement. But what if it's not? Here's the truth. Your 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was created in a corporate boardroom to shift retirement costs and investment risks onto you. Designed to keep your money trapped, exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, uncertainty you can't control. Until now, Americans are taking back control by turning to real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands protect their future by converting part of their retirement savings into physical gold. Talk to Noble Gold today and learn how safe and easy it is to roll over your 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. Visit x22gold.com to get your free wealth protection kit, including a step-by-step guide to get started. That's x22gold.com. It's time to get your money out of the danger zone and into something real. And here's a bonus offer. Get rewarded for getting started. Open a qualified account at x22gold.com, and they'll send you 2 5-ounce Silver America the Beautiful coins free. That is x22gold.com, or click the link in the description. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. But you can see why the deep state players, the central bankers, are trying to keep Fed Powell in position, because once again, without him, they completely lose. And Trump is hinting that he might be putting in Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to actually handle the Fed, which is very, very interesting because, again, we've always known that they were going to restructure the Fed and bring it into the Treasury because, again, since Trump is creating this parallel economy, and the parallel economy is now competing with the central bank system, in the end, we will have no use for the central bank system. We will not need it. So what you do is you merge the two and you bring it into the Treasury. Treasury is actually part of the government. The Federal Reserve is a private corporation. You bring it into the Treasury. You get rid of the Federal Reserve Act. You get rid of the 16th Amendment. And you make it very, very difficult for the deep state players, the central bankers, to actually reestablish themselves in the future. Now, they might do it in 200 years or so, or maybe even a little bit sooner. But again, it's going to be very, very difficult to do. And I do believe once Trump gets the power in the House and the power in the Senate, there might be maybe another constitutional amendment across the country where they say, you know something, never again will we allow a Federal Reserve system back into this country. But you can see that this is where all this is headed. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said the following: the United States of America has been ripped off on trade and military by friend and foe alike for decades. It has come at a cost of trillions of dollars, and it's just not sustainable any longer, and never was. Countries should sit back and say, thank you for the many years long free ride, but we know you now have to do what's right for America. We should respond by saying, thank you for understanding the situation we are in. Greatly appreciated. And yes, it is now time to return the wealth to this country. It's time to have free trade. It's time to reverse the globalist central bank system. It's time to end the endless. And think about what's going to happen in the future as Trump continually builds the parallel system and shows that there's no inflation, shows that we can support the government, shows that energy can be very, very low, shows everyone that we can bring manufacturing back to this country, shows everyone that we can actually have good paying jobs. And I do believe once Trump gets rid of the debt, gets rid of the Federal Reserve debt, and returns the buying power back to the people, that is when people are going to start to realize that the fiat currency is absolutely worthless. And people are going to start to realize that the alternative currencies, they maintain their value. And I do believe what we're going to see is we're going to see Bitcoin, which is already moving up once again. We're going to see Bitcoin, gold, silver. I do believe you're going to see these things really start to take off, because once you remove the manipulation, once you remove it all, because that's what's going to happen when you get rid of the central bank system, you're going to remove the manipulation. You're going to remove what they have put into place. So basically, Trump is going to reverse all of that. And what you're going to see is you're going to see the central bank system no longer has control over all these markets, has no longer control over the silver market, over the gold market. They no longer have control over any of it. And once gold, silver, and the rest are set free, you're going to start to see the prices start to rise. Now, again, this is when you're looking at gold, silver, Bitcoin to the US dollar, but you're going to see those items detach. You're going to probably see Bitcoin even go up even higher. And you're going to see all of this start to take off. And you can see everything that Trump is doing right now, he's moving us in that direction. And I do believe probably by 2026, 2027, you'll probably see gold much, much higher than it is today. You might even see it around 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe even as high as $20,000 or even more. I mean, when you ask ChatGPT or Grok or any of these AI type of programs, and you say, listen, remove the paper market, the gold paper market, remove the silver paper market, go back to the 1913 calculation and how he calculated gold. How much would gold be worth right now? And both AI engines said anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000 per ounce, which is absolutely amazing, because isn't that interesting? Where is Bitcoin today? 120, 121, around that area. So gold would be very, very similar to that, which is very, very interesting. Remember, the central banks going back in time, they had the ability to manipulate gold and silver. They knew how to do it. They knew they had to create a paper market. They knew that they had to keep gold and silver suppressed, because if they just allowed gold to do what Bitcoin was doing right now, and you saw gold at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 an ounce, people would call into question the fiat currency, and the central bank system would completely implode. So the only way you can convince people that nothing's changed and their currency is strong, because that's really what they're doing. They're manipulating the system to make you believe that their currency is still strong, because they're using gold as a barometer, because that's really what they're doing. So if they allowed gold to do what it normally does, people would realize that the fiat currency is worth absolutely nothing. And think about it. They've lied about everything else. You don't think they lied about this? Of course they did, because this is their system. And I think people are going to start to realize this, because once we become detached, once people start to see that the fiat currency, it does not benefit the people, the central bank never benefited the people. And when everyone sees that Trump's new system, a people's system, that he is now pushing very, very hard, I do believe people are going to see that we should never, ever allow a Federal Reserve system to come back into existence. And I think the people at that point in time will be with him, and the people are going to demand it, because in the end, nobody wants to work harder and harder and harder. Nobody wants to pay more taxes. Nobody wants to do anything. I don't think anyone has ever met anyone that said, listen, you know what? I really love paying my taxes. I wish they would raise the rate, to 39, 40, 50%. I don't think any of us has ever met any person like that. And I do believe once people experience no taxes, where you get to keep your hard-earned money, I think people are going to see something very, very different. And as we approach the midterms, this is actually going to help Trump quite a bit, because the economy plays a very, very big role in who you're going to vote for. And especially when the midterms are coming up, And once people feel really good and once people see that energy is very low and they have a lot more money in their pockets, people are going to say, you know something, I don't want this to end. I want this to continue. And I do believe Trump, the Patriots, they're counting on this. And I do believe people are going to see that the alternative currencies, they're going to start to skyrocket. I mean, you're already starting to see Bitcoin. I think gold and silver is right behind Bitcoin right now, because once the system falls apart, once we get rid of Powell, once the Fed is restructured, they lose all control, and it's game over for the central bank system and the globalists. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.